Women are powerful, Pinays are powerful. I don't think I need to remind you about that. Just look at your mom, your nanay, your lola, your grandma, your titas, your aunties, and even your cousins, mga pinsan, right? We all achieve, we all try to help and to give back. And that is why the story of this Filipina in real estate, she's actually a real estate investor, resonates and I know will be appreciated by a lot of you because she is not just successful in her chosen field, she is also now giving back to the community. Jennifer Taylor is so inspiring.
I think I'm very different. I think that people use the crux of being minority, being females as a handicap, and I'm the complete opposite. So to me, being a female, being Filipina is a strength.
Jennifer Taylor, power woman behind the community. First of all, thank you so much for doing what you do for the community.
Oh, thank you.
How did you get involved? Because you were born and raised here. Let's trace back. You were born and raised here, so Filipino American. But were you always involved in the community? And if not, when and how did you get involved?
No, I wasn't involved in the community as I am now. I got involved in 2018. SIPA, which is Search to Involve Pilipino Americans, found me. They were looking for someone to help them out with their real estate, and so I joined their board and have been part of their community since then.
Why is it important for you to give back in that way?
You know, my sisters and I grew up in a very white neighborhood when we were growing up, and so we really only got the Filipino culture through family events, and then also our parents had this roving Santo Niño on Fridays, and so that's really when we got into to be part of our culture. And so to be able to now be an adult and find a space where there's Filipinos all the time, it's a place that I wanted to be able to take whatever my talents are and be able to use it towards, the greater good.
And when you say talents, that talent mainly, you are in real estate, you are a real estate investor, which we don't see very many women, and most especially Filipina women in that field. How did you get into it?
I started off as a nursing major and I just didn't love it. And so a couple of years into it, I ended up falling into property management, answered telephones, slowly rose up the ranks as an admin assistant, a property manager, a general manager, a portfolio manager. And so it wasn't something that I'd ever expected, but I did love it. But for me, where I was very lucky was I found a mentor. Her name is Gloria, 20-something years ago, and she was Filipina. She is Filipina. And so for me, I actually had a role model that was very senior. And so along the ways, not only is she a colleague or a mentor, she's been a very good friend of mine.
How important is it to find a Filipina supporting, mentoring another Filipina? How did it change your life or the trajectory of your profession, your career?
Well, I'm a huge believer that you can't be it unless you see it. And because I saw it at such a young age, I was able to aspire to be something bigger than what I thought I could be. So that to me is part of the reason why I'm also the board president for FIIRE, which is Filipinos in Institutional Real Estate. And our focus is on networking, education, and mentoring for Filipinos in institutional real estate. So there's something to be said about being part of an organization where people look like you and understand your culture. There's nothing like it.
Right. And that's why when I knew I had to have you on the show for Women's History Month, talking about and talking to and highlighting Filipina power, right? But I couldn't quite figure out where to put you in Pinay power in real estate or Pinay power behind the community. And I thought of the latter, decided on that because you're not just in real estate investing, which is what you do, you're helping the community. So you're involved with SIPA, you're involved with FIIRE, and I know that I had you on last year via Zoom with your beautiful daughters for Swirls for Girls. Right, yeah. Exactly. So you're doing all this for the community. Why is it important for you to give back?
The thing that I realized is that our own personal achievements that we know about die with us. But the things that you do for your community, that's going to be your legacy. And so I want to be able to take what I have learned, take the goodness of the people that have come before me, and pass that on to our kids and these next generations. So whatever that ends up being, like I started my kids on community service at a very young age. As Asians, it's not something that we're taught, right? What I've learned is Asians come to the United States and they're not very big on charitable or philanthropic efforts, because when you come from an Asian community, your sole responsibility is to take care of your own family. But when you come to a westernized community, it's all about the community. And so that's why I give back, and that's why I teach my own to give back.
You also are raising 3 wonderful, successful children, right?
I graduated from college last year. She's 24, she lives in New York. We have another daughter who's turning 21, she's at Howard University. And then our son is a freshman, and he just started at a local JC.
How do you balance family, career, and community?
Very badly. I mean, something has to give, right? I listen to all these interviews of mothers that try to find that balance, and all of that to me is just, if we're being honest with each other, we all know that there is some part of your life that you're going to sacrifice at some point. So sometimes my work sacrifices, sometimes my family sacrifices, sometimes it depends on what the priority is for that day. So, I love all these people that are saying that they put their family first. Of course I put my family first, but there are days that something else is going to take precedence.
Right. And I always say this, we pay the price for the life we choose. So if we choose one thing, like, we hear it a lot. You want to work so you can earn and become successful in terms of material things and all that stuff. That's the price that you're choosing, right? But if you want to scale back maybe and spend a little more time with your children and all that stuff, that's the price you're also willing to pay.
Right.
But I think that's where the power of a woman lies, because we can do a lot of things, not necessarily perfect in all those things, but we can multitask.
Oh, I mean, if we're comparing ourselves to men, yes, we're the dominant of the multitaskers, but it really, again, it depends on where you personally find your value.
Yeah.
Sadly enough, I actually find my value in working. It's just the way that I'm wired, it's the way that I've been raised, but it doesn't mean that I neglect my family, my kids or my husband. I put them top priority too.
But I love that only an empowered woman can say that. Like you are also self-aware. That's your priority, that's your talent, that's what you choose to hone, right? To me, that is the power of a woman. What is the power of a woman to you?
Being honest with yourself, and then being vulnerable when you know what your weaknesses are. I think that's where we spend a lot of time. I'm in my 40s now. Before that, there was a lot of fake it till you make it for many, many years. And now you get to this point in life where you don't have to fake it. Even if you haven't made it, you're just over it, you're over yourself. So I think the power from a woman is being honest, honest with who you are and what you want to be.
What about your advice to Filipinas in America? Because, we always hear about this. It's double prejudice, right? Because you're a woman and you're woman of color, person of color. Your advice to them?
I mean, I think I'm very different. I think that people use the crux of being minority, being females as a handicap, and I'm the complete opposite.
How have you used it to your advantage?
I totally use it to my advantage. When people are saying that these are handicaps, use it to where you can find the weakness on the other side. So to me, being a female, being Filipina is a strength. So in the context of real estate, for instance, there are a ton of institutional investors out there looking to put their money out with female and minorities. That's the type of thing that I'm going to go seek. But I also know that I'm probably very bold in the way that I carry myself. I know there are a lot of people that are not, but what I say to a lot of these Filipinas that are still younger, we have to use our voice. That's all you have.
So what's the best advice you've ever received from your mom or from the women in your life?
A lot. My mom and my grandma always used to say to my sisters and I, and they said it in Tagalog, and so I'm not going to say it in Tagalog, but it equates to don't marry somebody with game, right? If you marry somebody that is good looking, if you marry somebody that's a player, you might be happy for a little while. Yeah. So
Yes.
don't marry somebody with game. And I think, being Asian, it comes off kind of harsh, but they also used to say, love doesn't feed your kids, which when I was younger, I didn't understand what that meant. But now being older, I'm like, oh, that actually is true.
Especially for moms out there who have daughters. I've heard it said a lot before. And actually, no, I heard it once and it stuck to me. It's saying that be careful, moms, be careful what you say to your daughters. Because as they grow up, that's what they'll hear.
Right.
If you keep criticizing your daughters, even actually children for that matter, they will not end up hating you, they will end up hating themselves.
Right.
Right? And so that's what we want to foster, because we want to start them young. These women, we want to empower them as they're growing up.
But that's so hard. When people say that, like bite your tongue or watch what you say to your kids, in that moment when you're so angry and seeing red, you just say it. And so there's a part of me that feels like, our generation, our parents didn't care about our feelings, right? They just said whatever they wanted to say.
And that was it, right?
And we grew up to be very strong women.
Yes.
And I think now with this next generation, we're so concerned about their emotions and cuddling them that they've turned out to be a little bit softer than our generation. So, what's the balance? I mean, I don't think, beating your kid is the answer, but
I do say sorry though. When
I say sorry
have
too.
lost my temper,
Yeah.
I'd say sorry. Yeah. And when you say sorry to your children, my daughter is 6, and when I say sorry to her and you see her, yeah, it's okay, mommy, like as if she's already forgotten, like, oh my gosh, but but anyway, so what do you advise your daughters?
That they're enough, that whoever they are and whatever that they want to be, that they're perfectly imperfect.
Right. Happy Women's Month to you.
And you too.
Yes, and just to wrap this up, what's the best thing about being a woman?
Oh gosh, that's hard. What's the best thing about being a woman? Probably that I'm not a man.
What's on the horizon for you if they want to get in touch with you? How can they catch you?
You can find me everywhere. I'm very visible on social media, but Ambiculture Advisors is the name of my investment management group. Swirls for Girls is the multicultural youth organization that I'm a part of. Search to Involve Filipino Americans, SIPA, is another board that I sit as their vice president, and FIIRE, Filipinos in Institutional Real Estate.